What's going on, guys? Sticks here at the Token Minorities, bringing you a break from your regularly scheduled Guardians Rising decks in order to bring you a legacy deck that I had some suggestions for, and that is a deck centered around Shaymin-EX and Cofagrigus, or the Plasma Cofagrigus with 6 feet under. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button, helps us out a ton, and lets us do more for you guys. And as for the question of the day, it's a Sunday, so I'm just going to ask, how was your guys' week, and did you have anything cool happen over this past week, or do you have any exciting plans for next week? So, yeah, just let me know that. As for me, it's the same thing as usual. I just have everything going on, just work, then working, coaching, all that good stuff. So it's just very monotonous at this point. But yeah, let me know if there's anything cool going on in your life. And yeah, I'm actually very excited to see what you guys have to let me know. But anyway, on to the deck, like I said, centered around Shaymin-EX and Cofagrigus. This is a very old legacy idea. Well, it wasn't in legacy, but it's a very old idea. Shaymin, 110 HP, so it's just as weak as its counterpart in the standard format with the setup ability, but this one isn't. This one's an attacker, not a support Pokemon. Revenge Blast is the attack that we're centering this deck around. For 2 energy, does 30 plus 30 for each prize your opponent has taken. Now that might be like, well, okay, well if our opponent takes a bunch of prizes, yeah, we're hitting for a bunch of damage, but won't that just put us in a bad position, and won't we have to just rely on our opponent knocking us out in order to be able to have Revenge Blast hit for decent amounts of damage? And yes, but that's where this Cofagrigus comes into play with 6 feet under. Once during your turn, you may knock this Pokemon out. If you do, put 3 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. This is a very, very potent combination, because not only does a Cofagrigus get 3 damage counters, which in my opinion is way too low, it needs to be like 4 or 5, but that's beside the point. It not only powers up Revenge Blast, but also lets you control things like N, Twins, different stuff like that, to where you can get yourself in a better position even when giving up a prize. So a very, very potent combination between these two. Basically, you just try to get Cofagrigus in the discard pile by knocking them out and have your opponent take prizes while spreading damage around it, and then letting Shaymin just essentially clean up the game with a Revenge Blast from there. And that's fairly straightforward for what this deck is centered around, and everything else is just supporting that. As for the Pokemon, running 1 Smeargle for Portrait, just try to set up as quickly as possible. Smeargle is one of those things you just throw into the active spot in Portrait until it gets knocked out. Not only will that be already 1 Pokemon knocked out, but hopefully you will be able to get a couple Cofagrigus in the discard pile, or a couple Cofagrigus set up and knocked out as well, so that Revenge Blast can hit for even more damage. And then by the time you start attacking with Smeargle, you just end your opponent, get them down to a low hand size, and then just go to town with Shaymin, destroying their Pokemon one by one no matter what they send out. 3 Shaymin as the main attackers, only 3 of them, because I mean if your opponent knocks out 3 Shaymin, they win the game, so I really didn't see the need to run 4, but if you want to run 4, then I mean by all means go for it. I just run 3 because again, if your opponent knocks out 3 Shaymin, they win the game. 1 Virizion, just because, I mean, Hypnotoxic Laser is literally everywhere in the Legacy format. I mean, each of your Pokemon that has any Grass Energy attached to them cannot be affected by special conditions. Essentially shuts off Hypnotoxic Laser, Deck and Cover, those different types of strategies that rely on status conditions. Virizion's great for that, because, I mean, again, Smeargle actually has Portrait shut off by Hypnotoxic Laser, and Shaymin just really does not like Hypnotoxic Laser at all. In fact, 1 turn of Hypnotoxic Laser puts it in a range of Night Spear, and this guy already has a little HP to begin with, so being able to give it any extra longevity is always needed. We have bad Tapu Lele, I'm sorry, we have Jirachi-EX with Stellar Guidance. Really, you can run any combination of Smeargle and Jirachi. I just kind of like to run 1-1, just because you can level ball for a Jirachi and then get a supporter, but then Smeargle also lets you have more explosive turns, but it's less consistent. It's really just up to you as to which you prefer. I just like 1-1 because I have options for both. Mr. Mime helps shut off the bench sniping that is everywhere in the Legacy format. Night Spear, Hammerhead, Frost Spear, all of those that hit the bench that can set up Shaymin to be knocked out, very easily, or set up Jirachi just to be hit 3 times and knocked out for 2 prizes on the bench, Mr. Mime allows us to shut those off. And then 4-3 of Yamask and Cofagrigus, just, I mean, again, be able to knock Cofagrigus out, put 3 damage counters on the board, and power up Shaymin. So fairly straightforward line of Pokemon right there. Then as for the items, we're actually running quite a few. A-Spec of choice, Computer Search. 99% of the time it's Computer Search. I mean, there's very, very few situations that I've preferred Dowsing Machine to Computer Search, just because, well, first of all, we have Junk Arm in the Legacy format, which is, it is essentially Dowsing Machine, but I mean, but Dowsing Machine can get you a couple more things that Junk Arm can't. But again, I prefer being able to search your deck for literally any card and put it into your hand, so that's why I like Computer Search. For the searching options, running a very peculiar line. Running 2 Dual Ball, 3 Level Ball, and 2 Ultra Ball. Now, this might look really weird, and this is just the result of some testing on my part. 2 Dual Ball because we run enough basic Pokemon in the deck. In fact, we only run 3 Pokemon that are not basic Pokemon. So the majority of the time, Dual Ball can come through and get you that. We're running 3 Level Ball because Smeargle, Jirachi, Mr. Mime, and Yamask run enough of those. I mean, basically the only reason I'm running more Level Ball than Dual Ball is because Level Ball is guaranteed. I can't tell you how many times I've had Dual Ball just kind of crap out on me and be like, yeah, 2 tails. I mean, I get 2 heads every so often, which is incredibly nice, but those couple times where you're like, okay, I just need such and such. I just need 1 Pokemon. And nope, you get nothing from Dual Ball. And Level Ball is just a, okay, I need a Jirachi, I need a Smeargle, or I need a Yamask. Level Ball is just like, I got you, bro, don't worry about it. And then Ultra Ball, just consistent, be able to search out Cofagrigus. Particularly, Ultra Ball is the only method we have of searching out Cofagrigus, just saying. But, I mean, I'm usually able to draw into them well enough, surprisingly. But Ultra Ball, again, is just get whatever you want when you want it for Pokemon-wise. 1 Energy Search, because Shaymin only relies on attacking for 2 energy, so we don't need to run a ton of energy with this in this deck, meaning that we can run more tech options. That being said, it also reduces the consistency with which you are able to draw energy, so running only 8 energy, I decided to have a little bit of a trade-off, but also putting in Energy Search. That way a Junk Arm can turn into an energy, that type of thing. So that's why I'm running Energy Search. 1-1 of Switch and Escape Rope. Just, we have enough stuff that we don't want active. Really, you only ever truly want Smeargle or Shaymin active. You don't want anything else there. So Escape Rope combined with Skyarrow combined with Switch gets us out of there pretty frequently. 4 Junk Arm, absolute max number to be able to reuse stuff from our discard pile. 1 Lost Remover, kind of slow down our opponent. Plasma does give this deck quite a few problems. Lost Remover lets you slow them down and also just slow down DCEs, get rid of those, all that good stuff. 1 Catcher, just so we can, well, essentially Lysander stuff out, but I mean, I guess the appropriate phrase is Catcher stuff out that my opponent puts on the bench that they thought was safe. It's like, that thing's not safe. 2 Random Receiver, that way a Junk Arm can potentially turn into a supporter. I really like running 2 Random Receivers in my Legacy decks just for consistency's sake. 1 Super Rod lets us put back Pokemon, like if we have to discard Cofagrigus early on, or Smeargle gets knocked out but we want it again. Just Super Rod lets us put back energies and Pokemon. 1 Tool Scrapper because Garbodor shuts down this deck a little bit. Not a whole lot, but because if you're able to get your Cofagrigus using 6 feet under early on, then you really don't have to worry about abilities too much late game apart from Mr. Mime and Virizion. But again, having abilities is always nice. And having Verdant Wind, Stellar Guidance, Bench Barrier, all of those are really nice abilities just to have active all game. So Tool Scrapper is our way of telling Garbodor to calm down. 1 Skyarrow Bridge, because all of our basic Pokemon have a single retreat cost. Actually, even Yamask has a single retreat cost. Cofagrigus, unfortunately, unfortunately, Cofagrigus cannot take advantage of it. But if your opponent, well, first of all, you should rarely have a Cofagrigus on the field during your opponent's turn because you would have knocked it out. But I mean, at the same time, I can see certain situations where you would want to have it. But either way, if it gets brought up, you just knock it out. So simple as that. But everything else, 1 retreat cost Skyarrow Bridge just gives them free retreat. And then as for these supporters, We're running a big line of N because of N manipulation and prize manipulation with 6 feet under. 2 Juniper just because you can't beat that draw 7 after you discard your hand, and also it really doesn't help anything. But still, can't beat Juniper sometimes. 4 Oak, absolute max number of these, just more consistent draw support. And then 2 Twins. Again, we can manipulate prizes with 6 feet under, which allows us to knock out a Cofagrigus, search for whatever search for 2 things of whatever we need, and then just go from there. So very nice card in this deck. And then as for the items, running 2 Eviolite and 2 Float Stone. I'm actually considering cutting the Float Stone, maybe for like another Skyarrow, but I don't know. I just really like Float Stone because the Stadium War is very real, especially when you're not running Verbank. So Skyarrow is not always reliably in play, so having another way of having free retreat is nice. So I mean, that's why I like that. And then Eviolite is the item of choice, just to try to give Shaymin a little bit more longevity. And it's actually really nice because all of a sudden 1 Eviolite turns a 2 energy Dragon Burst from Rayquaza into a 3 energy Dragon Burst in order to knock out a Shaymin. So just, it really helps the math. The difference between 120 and 130 in this format is gigantic. And yes, I know Shaymin has 110, but Eviolite essentially gives it 130. But yeah, 130 is a magic number to hit for bulk, so that's why we're running a couple Eviolite. And then 8 Grass Energy, like I said. You can run a lower amount because we don't have to attack for a extremely high energy cost, only 2. But again, Energy Search, I highly recommend running it with low energy numbers just because you're not able to consistently draw into energy as much. So yeah, I am done rambling, guys. Let's go ahead and see this deck in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Sanji 1990 with a water and grass deck, so I'm not fully sure what type of deck we are up against. It's not necessarily any archetype I am particularly familiar with, but then again, this is the Legacy format. There are a ton of really cool ideas that are out there that people just really have no idea about. And we do start off with actually a pretty solid hand. I mean, yeah, I don't like to get rid of a Twins this early, but I mean, at least we have ways of getting like getting a Yamask, getting a Eviolite on the Shaymin, all that good stuff. So we're just gonna go from there. And okay, this is a Blastoise Keldeo deck with a Kyurem. Interesting. Well, if my opponent isn't able to evolve turn 2, I should be able to knock out the Squirtle with just two 6 feet under. So that's something positive. And there are 3 Cofagriguses in the deck, so that's pretty nice. Let's go ahead and just Eviolite up the Shaymin. Play this out as much as I can. What's nice is I will be hitting for weakness, so let's see if I can catch her up the... yeah, let's go ahead and catch her up the Squirtle. That way at least my opponent would have, if he rushes in, has to bring up the Keldeo. And I do get another Yamask and a Smeargle. So this is a really, really nice hand overall. Let's go ahead and play that there. And then retreat into my Smeargle. See if I can get a supporter off of my opponent. I get a Silent. That's interesting. So, I mean, I am just going to grab 3 energy and put it in my hand. That way I increase my chances of getting a good top deck. And with the Skyarrow in play, I mean, I could have Synthesis to get another energy in play, but I already had one in hand. So, I mean, there really wasn't any particular reason to just Synthesis when I could have potentially tried to get more Yamasks into play in order to evolve them into Cofagrigus' next turn. So, I mean, either way, I'm in a good position. Keldeo is going to go down after just giving my opponent 2 prizes. And my opponent attaches to the Squirtle. Unfortunately, it looks like it will be able to retreat, so I can't just knock that thing out immediately, which is actually I will be able to. Well, that's nice. And I do even get a Computer Search. So I'm going to be able to one-shot this Squirtle. So let's go ahead and get rid of a... Let's get rid of a Grass Energy and a Skyarrow just to grab a Cofagrigus. Guarantee that I have that thing. Let's attach another energy to the Shaymin. Go ahead and evolve. And then let's Oak. Get a new hand, see if we can get another Cofagrigus or something like that, which we do. And we can potentially even get another Yamask into play. So that's a Actually, a very good turn. Let's dual ball, get one heads. That's fine. That's all I wanted. Do I want to grab another Shaymin or another Yamask? I think let's just grab another Yamask. That way I can at least start attacking the Kyurem at the very least. So first of all, I'm just going to retreat into the Shaymin just because, I mean, I could Portrait, but I really have no reason to. If my opponent happened to grab a Juniper or something, then I would have been able to, or then I would have had to, discard both an N and a Juniper and a Random Receiver. So what I am going to do is go ahead and 6 feet under with my Cofagrigus, just start damaging the Kyurem, because unfortunately Outrage can do enough to where that could be a problem. Well, especially if I just go ahead and knock out the Squirtle and then attack the Kyurem from there, because then the Kyurem would have 90 damage on it. That'd be 120, and all he would need is like one more damage counter in order to be able to knock out my Shaymin. Luckily, the Eviolite would have made it so that I would have survived, but either way, there was no point in just doing that when I didn't need to. And plus, this way, with the Kyurem, even though he can outrage me for, looks like 40 damage, and what does that Genesect do? But either way, he will be able to outrage me for 40 damage, but this way, if I get, I get another Cofagrigus. So I think I can take a knockout on the Kyurem this turn. Yeah, because, let's see, do I have anything that I can Junk Arm for that I want to Junk Arm for? First, let's 6 feet under. And I think all I need is, well, I mean, okay, the Keldeo's knocked out anyway. Like, the Keldeo's just going to get knocked out regardless. So what I think I need to do is 6 feet under once onto the Genesect, give my opponent another prize, and then I have to 6 feet under, I think, onto the Kyurem. That way I can knock it out with a Revenge Blast and actually get rid of all my opponent's energy on board. The reason I didn't hit the Keldeo is because, like I said, I'm going to be one-shotting that Keldeo thanks to, weakness anyway, so there was absolutely no reason to throw the damage onto it. And then this way, I get my opponent down to 3 prizes, and then I just end him. So this is even better for me. Unfortunately, I don't draw into a Grass Energy, which is something I really would have liked to have. But then let's go ahead and Ultra Ball, get rid of the Random Receiver and the Lost Remover, because I really don't think a Lost Remover is going to be helping too particularly much in this match. And then let's knock out the Kyurem with a Revenge Blast, take 2 prizes, and now we are all of a sudden even on prizes, except the game's not even at all, because I'm going to be one-shotting everything that my opponent has, and there's really nothing he can do about it, because, I mean, the Keldeo, the Keldeo couldn't have attacked. He had no Squirtle down to potentially Deluge. I mean, he could have sent up the Genesect, but even then, I already had 3 prizes left, so it would have even, my opponent couldn't even have played the odd prize game, because all I would have had to do was knock out the Genesect, and then the Keldeo would have been 2 more prizes. So yeah, my opponent saw that there was literally nothing he could do, and that's why I love this deck, is because you're able to just be like, okay, let's put my opponent ahead, let's put the opponent ahead on my terms, but then we punish them for being ahead with like N and Twins and stuff like that, and then Shaymin just being able to hit for a ton of damage. And also, I mean, you guys know I love spread damage, spread abilities, all that stuff. But either way, I'm talking way too much. That was a good match, but a short one, so let's go ahead and try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we found another one. Hopefully a little bit better one against Riot Frost with, I mean, okay, the Dragon, Lightning, and Fire kind of is indicative of Ray Eel. So I'm kind of hoping that's what we're up against, because that'd be a very cool throwback matchup. And oh, thank the Lord I start with some basics that aren't Jirachi. I would like to have a Shaymin, that way I can play the energy onto it. But I mean, at the very least, I have a Jirachi that'll be able to search me out a Juniper or something to that effect. So I mean, it's not the best hand, but I mean, it's not a bad hand by any means. And also, I can just level ball for a couple Yamasks, so I'll actually be able to get all the Yamasks I could ever possibly want in this world. turn 1, so that's pretty nice. But let's go ahead and level ball grab a Smeargle first. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Because, I mean, we should be able to do pretty well on turn 1 in terms of exploding. And, yeah, let's grab another Yamask. I don't know why I clicked Mr. Mime there. I'm just going to chalk that up to a mistake on my part. Then let's Escape Rope into my Smeargle. Ideally, he has a Skyla or something, and he actually has nothing at all. So, unfortunate, but kind of good at the exact same time. Yeah, I mean, it works out because my opponent doesn't have anything, although I would have liked to have been able to have a Shaymin on the bench, which I actually do draw into. So that's pretty nice at the very least, and this is really, really nice, actually, because what I can do is just computer search for, like, a Juniper or something next turn, evolve into a Cofagrigus, and then just put energy onto my Shaymin to be able to Revenge Blast, and potentially one-shot this Rayquaza immediately. I mean, my opponent is going to be able to PCOM, probably just set up a Dynamo, or, okay, oh, duh, I saw the steel typing, so I don't know why Jirachi didn't click in my head, but my opponent is going to be able to get a Jirachi, grab an N. No, don't end me. I really like my hand. Crap. I mean, I understand why my opponent grabbed N, because, I mean, he had enough stuff to where he didn't want to have to just discard it, but, okay, this is a little bit trickier. The Dynamo, okay, so if I can just repeatedly knock out Dynamos with 6 feet under, I should be fine. Ooh, this is not good. I don't want to discard my entire hand with Juniper, but, like, at the same time, I want to get some stuff that I can work with. I just need 2 Cofagrigus. Like, that's plain and simple. I need 2 of them, so I'm going to have to discard all that good stuff to try to get 2 of them. And unfortunately, I don't. Is there anything I can work with in my discard pile? Not particularly. Let's first go ahead and 6 feet under, just hit that Dynamo. I mean, the Dynamos, if we knock them out, then, I mean, then we just don't have to worry about them at all, and we'll be able to take nice prizes off of that. And luckily, my opponent is playing the 30 HP, and unfortunately, once again, I don't get anything that I can work with. So, let's Random Receiver, get just something, maybe, I don't know what I want to do. So I still have the portrait available. Let's portrait, see what we can get. We get nothing. So unfortunate right there. So, I mean, at least the Dynamo's knocked out. Unfortunately, I will not be able to take a one-hit knockout on this Keldeo. Crap. I was just praying that I overlooked something right there in my discard pile, and that could have gotten me another Cofagrigus. But let's go ahead and dual ball. Well, I mean, well, there's no reason to worry about that. But either way, let's just Junk Arm, get rid of the switch, and the Random Receiver. Grab the dual ball again, just at the very least get another Shaymin out there so I can start attaching energy next turn. Never mind, go 0 for 4, so let's just go ahead and Revenge Blast this Keldeo for 120. I would have liked to have taken the one-shot on it, but unfortunately I can't. I mean, at least this way it's in range of 2 6 feet unders, I guess. I don't know, like I would have rather have obviously one-shotted that thing, but my opponent is going to level ball again, grab a Dynamo, this one with 40 HP, so yeah, unfortunately, while I would like to just knock out the Keldeo with 6 feet unders, I have to prioritize the Dynamos. Like, those things are the only way that my opponent is going to be able to get things going and start attacking. And I do get an Oak. So that's a lot better than an N. Then again, like, it does leave my opponent the ability to Dynamo. And I still don't get any way. Wow. And I still don't get a way to get another Cofagrigus. So what I'm going to do is Junk Arm, level ball for, or not Junk Arm, or Junk Arm for an Escape Rope. Let's see if I can get another Shaymin out there. Yes, finally I'm able to get one. There's only one Cofagrigus left in the deck, unfortunately. But if I can get the Super Rod and the Ultra Ball, or some combination of that, I should be in a good position. So let's go ahead and Escape Rope. And I'm purposely not playing the Skyarrow down because I have a Float Stone on the only thing that I really am going to be manually retreating that often. So let's Portrait again. Still nothing. And I mean, I still have a Junk Arm in my hand to be able to Random Receiver. So it's not like I'm just giving myself 0 options. But at least at this point, I'll be able to Revenge Blast the Keldeo. Take a knockout on it. Yeah, my opponent will be able to get a Tynamo into play. But another reason that I didn't play the Skyarrow down is because, yeah, right there, what he could have done is promoted the Jirachi and then went ahead and Dynamoted onto the Rayquaza. But I guess... well, I guess he doesn't have any lightning in the discard pile, so he just goes for a Dragon Blast onto my Shaymin. Let's play another Eviolite onto the one on the bench. And this is where Eviolite comes in super handy, because I'm able to just, live Dragon Blast and make my opponent waste 3 energy as opposed to just 2 to knock out a Shaymin. Unfortunately, I hit a Twins. Not what I wanted to hit, but, I mean, that's the danger of running Random Receiver and Twins in the deck. So, I mean, if my opponent takes a knockout on me, that's fine. All of a sudden, that means that my Revenge Blasts will just be doing that much more damage. And be able to, I think, not quite start one-shotting Rayquazas, but there we go. He does knock me out. So I am out of resources at this point. So let's go ahead and promote the Smeargle. Maybe my opponent got a supporter off of his prizes, but I mean, guess it doesn't matter because I just top deck a supporter. That's super nice. I get another Cofagrigus, so let's go ahead and play the Shaymin there. Go ahead and drop the Cough, and do I want to go ahead and 6 feet under? Let's Portrait, just see what's in my opponent's hand. Nothing. And that it's just, well, it's electric and a couple energy. So let's retreat. Actually, hold on. Do I have enough to knock out the Rayquaza? I should be once. Well, actually, no. Of course I do. My opponent just knocked out a Shaymin. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock out the Rayquaza, take a couple more prizes, be 1 prize away from winning. There's my other Cofagrigus. I did not knock out the Cofagrigus just until I saw what my opponent decided to do. Because if he played down another Rayquaza, I would have wanted to put 30 damage onto that. And if he retreated into... okay, so he did get a... or he top decked that. Wow, okay. But if my opponent drops another Rayquaza, I do want to have the 6 feet under available to put a couple damage counters onto it. Actually, wait, does that matter? Yes, because if I went ahead and wasted the 6 feet under, I'd only be hitting for 150, which would not be enough, especially with the damage that I wouldn't have put on them with 6 feet under. There we go. So my opponent does play a Rayquaza, but again, it really doesn't matter because, I mean, he promotes the Zekrom, and I'll just be able to knock that thing out anyway. But what I was saying is right now I'm only hitting for 120 damage. If I had 6 feet under on something else and my opponent put down a Rayquaza, I'd only be hitting for 150. By saving the 6 feet under, I would have been able to hit that Rayquaza for 30 with the 6 feet under, and then I would have been able to knock out the Rayquaza with that 150. So, I mean, yeah, my opponent saw the writing on the wall, being able to knock out another Cofagrigus. I played another one down, which would have been able to allow me to, which obviously let me knock out the Zekrom in that turn. So, yeah, Shaymin Cofagrigus came through. It's a very old and kind of wonky deck idea, but it's still very, very fun. Is it super competitive? I don't think so, but again, it is a really, really fun deck that is capable of making some really awesome comebacks. So if you guys are fans of big comebacks, then definitely try this deck out. But I hope you guys were okay with the little break in the Guardians Rising. I had just been playing so much of that lately, I decided, you know what, let's shake things up with a little bit of Legacy. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.